It's the world-famous Annalise and Carter show, featuring Annalise, Klingbeil, and Stephen Carter!
Welcome to the world-famous Stephen Carter and Annalise Klingbeil show. Is that what we're calling this, Stephen Carter?
I'll tell you, before it was the Annalise Klingbeil and Stephen Carter show, but you just changed it around, like that.
I put you ahead.
You put me in the first billing and
I
yourself in the second billing, which...
It's just the two of us tonight, Carter. What's going on?
Well, as you know,
Zane
Corey got
dished.
elected.
They dished.
Yeah, Corey got elected, and Zane's very ill.
Oh, very ill. Okay.
Deathbed is what I'm told.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Corey's in Rome, coming home from Rome? Where's
He's
Corey?
home from Rome.
Okay.
He's home from Rome,
Perfect.
as they say. And he flew in today, and he had Wi-Fi on the Porter Air flight. So
did
he
you
was
talk the
texting
whole
with me.
time?
We texted back and forth. I was cleaning the basement, looking for distraction, and he provided it. It was pretty
Perfect.
great. Yeah,
Great.
it was pretty good.
You had a good weekend then. You didn't go outside. We could just do, Carter, we could do an hour on going outside right
Going
now.
outside,
we don't
just
have Zane and Corey to hold
to
us back.
stop us. No, but,
We could
but I
talk
didn't
about
go.
biking. We could talk about hiking.
Oh, I know, but you went camping this weekend.
I did go
So
camping this weekend. It was rainy, but that's what normally happens on May long weekend.
It is. It's the rainiest weekend of the year.
Yeah. Did you bike this weekend?
No, because it was raining. So
Fair.
we were supposed to go to Blairmore and do some riding down in Blairmore. They've got a couple of new downhill tracks that are spectacular. But we weren't able to get out there.
How do you choose which one of your 12 bikes you take when you go biking?
Taking the e-bikes now. That makes it a lot easier.
So you're getting old. Yeah.
Yeah, because last year we had to cut the average distance of our travels by about 25%. So
That's a problem.
we're getting old. We're getting old.
So when we go again this year, are you taking the e-bike or what are you taking?
Well, I thought I'd give you the e-bike, and I would do the analog.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay. You got some big plans.
I got big plans for you. I'm going to take you to some really great spots. You're going to be
Perfect.
loving it.
Great.
Because last time we did a really easy trail,
Yeah.
and this time we're going to do another pretty easy trail, but it's going to be longer.
We did an easy trail and I would not say I enjoyed it, but I'm willing to give it a second try.
You know what? You pretend like you didn't enjoy it, but I think you did.
I like the
you loved
uphills. I did, to be honest, I like the uphills. I did not love the downhills.
Well, we'll go up and then we'll go up further.
Perfect.
So you'll love that.
Great. My
Yeah.
kind of biking. Okay. Do you want to talk about politics or are we just going to talk about outdoor things?
Well, I was good with just outdoors, but if you want to bring in some politics, I mean, it is a political show. It's running on the Strategists airwaves. We should probably at least, pay homage to the Strategists.
We probably
and
should.
talk about
Corey's
some strategy.
probably going to listen and get mad if we do not talk about politics.
Listen,
So-
he's just going to be happy we recorded.
He will be. He was doubtful that this would happen.
Yeah,
but
he
here we
threatened
are.
physical
Look at us.
violence against me if I didn't record.
That's what he says. Oh, that's
Yeah.
why. That's why
Yeah.
we're doing this.
That's why we're doing this.
That's why.
There
He
was
knew.
physical violence.
He knew. Corey knew he would get elected, and then things would fall apart because Corey was the glue that held the strategists together.
I always thought I was the glue, but I think we all know who the weak link
Who
is.
paid the bills? Who bought
Yeah.
the domains? Who posted episodes? Who did the technology? You're going to be in charge of the books?
I apparently am going to be in charge of the books.
Okay.
This is very disconcerting to me. Not my
This
strength,
is gonna
but it's
go
going to be fine.
Really,
It'll be fine.
really well. Okay.
We haven't been paid since the new year, since
I don't think I've been paid
2025.
since last year, since
I know.
2024.
I think we still
So-
owe you money from 24, don't we?
I think you do. Yeah.
Jesus.
But
So-
we've got money for benches and websites.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
So
a
you know
lot,
what?
yeah.
And I'm told we have a lot of money in the account. So
Perfect.
I'm gonna start dishing it out. You're gonna be like, ooh, rolling in it.
Bonus. Bonus.
Dollar bills.
Perfect. Stephen Carter, let's talk about some politics. I want to
Okay.
talk about Alberta. It's
Sure.
you and I. We don't have Zane and Corey here, and there's a lot going on in Alberta right now. You've been in Alberta a long time, so I want to pick your brain about some things. I'm going to start by reading you some headlines from the past couple weeks.
Headlines. We used to do
Headlines.
whole segments called headlines.
You did?
Oh yeah.
How did it work? What did you do?
Well, we just read headlines.
That was the segment.
Yeah. It's hilarious.
Then what?
I don't remember, to be honest. I just knew we did a segment called Headlines.
Read headlines.
Let's do a segment called
Yeah,
Headlines.
the segment's called Headlines. So I'm going to read you some headlines. This just past couple of weeks. This is what's going on in Alberta, and then we're gonna dig into it. So, Alberta Premier Danielle Smith defends breaking up Health Minister role into 4 portfolios. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith defends promise of a potential referendum on separation. Premier Danielle Smith's demands for Ottawa has Canadians divided. Report. Danielle Smith fumes over Mark Carney's cabinet choices. Quote, innuendo and slander. Alberta legislature erupts after questions about Premier Smith's husband. Quote, playing with fire. Former Alberta Premier Jason Kenney weighs in on separation talk. Here's one that was just published this evening. Former Chief of Staff to Alberta Premier lived in home owned by Sam Morish's sister. A lot going on in Alberta. Carter, how do you live here? How do you explain everything that is happening in our province for those that don't have the capacity to keep up, or maybe don't live here, or maybe don't know where to start caring? What is happening in Alberta these days?
Well, everything's on fire. Everything's on fire. And, you have some normal fires that you could predict. That would be the healthcare fire, right? The healthcare file has been a shit show under Danielle Smith. Doctors are saying that the system is coming apart at the seams. And I will tell you that the system is very big and very difficult to manage. It's not designed to succeed, really. It's designed to fail on many levels. But the doctors and nurses and other staff that work at the hospitals and in the healthcare system hold it together. But now that they've got 4 ministers, I'm not sure how they're going to continue to hold it together. But that's a relatively normal state of affairs for Alberta. Ralph Klein tried to do it with his infamous Bill 13. We tried to reinvent healthcare in 2011, 2012. We being the Alison Redford government, Ed Stelmach struggled with healthcare. Even Jason Kenney, who suffered through the pandemic, was struggling with healthcare. So healthcare is a normal problem. But then we have two abnormal.
What is not a normal problem?
Well, we have 2 abnormal problems. The first one is corruption. People would say that the PCs were corrupt, but you could never prove that the PCs were corrupt. You never had, for example, a chief of staff living in a $1.5 million home owned by someone that was getting billions of dollars in contracts from the government. That wouldn't have happened because we're too smart for that. Too smart to get caught doing something that fucking stupid. And I don't know. I mean, charges haven't been laid. There's been no official word. I mean, Marshall Smith has threatened lawsuits against those who have defamed him. I think
there is a lawsuit.
Yeah, so I think there is a lawsuit against the Globe and Mail.
E-Globe, yeah.
Yeah, so I certainly don't want to be the next person to get a lawsuit. No. So let me just say,
and Corey's not here to keep.
Corey's not here to stop me from being. Yeah. But I will say this: the corruption kickback scheme that has been outlined in the Globe and Mail over the last couple of months is not a normal problem. It is a problem that is created by hubris and this kind of sense that they were corrupt, so we can be corrupt too. I think that we have a lot more to find out as to the reality of this situation. Who else was involved? How much did they know? Everybody. What I have said from the beginning is that everybody who showed up in one of those private boxes is going to be as guilty as the people who took any like Marshall Smith allegedly taking this home to live in. That is a spectacularly stupid thing to do. I think that they will, everybody who is, everybody's going to be painted with the same brush, with the most corrupt person, whoever that may be. And I don't think it's Premier Smith, for the record. For the record, I think it was not, I don't think it's Danielle who was corrupt. I think, though, that this corruption goes deep. And it then ties into, was Danielle Smith's husband setting up meetings for rail transport. That was shouted down in the House, in the legislature. I'd love to see what happens of that as we move forward. And then there's the headlines that are self-imposed, that are self-created. The nightmare that was created by Smith deciding that she was going to make it easier to hold a separation referendum. We had just passed the referendum legislation in her first term, if you will. That referendum legislation made it challenging to get a referendum up off the ground. It's not challenging now. It's still challenging to get 177,000 signatures, Annalise.
Yeah,
Correct me if I'm wrong.
They're going to get 600,000, Carter. No big deal.
Yeah, well, they won't.
Yeah, no, they're going to get way more.
Yeah, well, anybody who can get 188,000 signatures is organized enough to win the next election. So I think that people need to understand what's at stake. The organization levels required to get that many people to put their signature on a piece of paper. Let's go back to the Recall Gondek movement, where they got, ultimately every single signature was thrown out.
How many signatures did they get, though?
Well, technically 0, but I think it was in the 60,000 range. So obviously that's just one city. So one could make the extrapolation that if you could get 60,000 signatures in Calgary, 60,000 signatures in Edmonton, and then 60,000 signatures rural, our one third kind of province that we are, then you could make 180,000. But it's just not that easy. It's just not that easy.
So I just want several different things here, right? We've got the separation, we've got the healthcare stuff, we've got the cabinet shuffle that just happened on Friday. Lots going on. In terms of the scandal, I don't know if some people, different names for it, but in terms of the scandal, I just want to read you a Jared Wesley. I think this is a Blue Sky that was sent to me. Him trying to condense that into like a sentence where people understand, because there's a lot going on. This has been several months. So he says, Premier Smith's former chief of staff allegedly pressured health officials to cut $500 million in contracts to a businessman whose sister was his landlord and who bought them all luxury NHL tickets, and they fired the person ready to reveal it. Do you think it's like, is that, in terms of the communications on this and getting people to care when there's so much going on, is that as simple as it is?
That's as simple as it is. I mean, I think that we've quoted Wesley before when we've been talking about how these how to actually communicate about this scandal, and he's made it so much simpler than anyone has. The simplicity is what we need. And I was talking to some friends in the NDP this weekend, and I think that's what the NDP needs to do, is make it simple. They've made it corrupt care. They've made it about the care element instead of the corruption element.
Do you think they need a flow chart? Do they need like something visual, like a flow chart that shows who is linked to who and what's going on?
A little infographic would be fantastic, right? Basically saying here's the person who got the money, number one. So here's the person who got the money. Number two, here are the people who are with that person in the boxes. Here's the guy who was, getting the house, who was renting the house, or staying in the house. I'm not sure what the rental agreement was. But, now that you're starting to see this, a really simple infographic, because it really is that simple. We gave this guy X, hundreds of millions of dollars or whatever the number was. And this is also the guy behind the Tylenol scandal, right? The children's Tylenol scandal, where he got $75 million.
We used to talk about that Tylenol all the time.
I know, because you were furious, I tell you.
Yeah, because it just never ended. It was like every week or two, there was some new bad thing about that Tylenol, including the fact that you couldn't even give it to children during a Tylenol shortage.
Yeah, it was pretty great. Pretty great.
It's wild.
But we have the same guy, right? The same guy is involved in the same in a totally different set of scandals.
So what, like, talk to me about this, because you've been part of governments that have fallen from scandal. Like, is the bar of what is a scandal just different nowadays? Like, why? There's so many different pieces of this. Why are we still just getting stories and these people are still in their roles?
it's infinitely more difficult to survive a $30,000 scandal than it is to survive a $300 million scandal.
Because people don't understand?
They don't understand the scope of the money, and the money itself. They've never been involved in a deal like that. They don't understand how it would even relate to their lives. We can try and make it relate to their lives, but they're not paying enough attention. But when something's $30,000, like the No Meat Committee that we dealt with in 2011.
Tell us about that.
The No Meat Committee was essentially what back in the day you got compensated for attending committee meetings as part of your MLA salary. So when you would sit on a number of different committees, those committees were part of your pay. And one of the committees was, I think it was on electoral reform or something along those lines, election readiness, something like that. And it didn't meet. It didn't meet for 18 months, 24 months, and everybody who was on the committee still got paid. So everybody got $1,000 extra a month. Some people wound up with $20,000, $25,000, $30,000 in ill-gotten gains. So we had to get everybody to refund the money, and it still didn't matter. Even though people gave the money back, the fact that you were getting money for nothing, $30,000, $15,000, $25,000, whatever the amount was, you were getting money for nothing.
So what happened? Who lost their job?
Well, ultimately, MLA like Arno Dirksen lost his job. We lost a lot of seats in the election. It was part of why we almost lost in 2012. We went from a high of almost 80, anticipating up to 80 seats in the legislature to dropping down to almost losing. And Danielle Smith, had she not brought the Lake of Fire forward for us, would have won that election. So
you think the dollar figure is like a key piece of what makes it resonate?
Time and again, if you make something like, if you were given a free house to live in with your two colleagues, that would be something that could be career ending. Let's also look at Alison Redford, right? A $36,000 plane ride was ultimately her undoing. People understand how much money $36,000 is. They see it. They can feel it.
Was that also, I mean, that was the last thing, but was there other, like the Sky Palace and the other things leading up to it?
Yeah, I mean, taking care of someone's lodging is extremely difficult. When Allison was even staying at the Fairmont McDonald, the Hotel McDonald, that was very difficult to manage because people can't stay at the Fairmont at McDonald. Hell, we even did a retreat at the Jasper Park Lodge in the shoulder season. It cost us no more than being at any other hotel with a conference room. But because it was seen to be a luxury, destination. I don't know if you've ever been to the Jasper Park Lodge in the shoulder season.
Tell me about it, Carter.
But there's nothing there. There's nothing to do. There's no one staying at the hotel, and it cost us, I think it was $90 or $100 a night. But people knew that it was a luxury location, and there was a little mini uprising.
So do you think the housing in this case, there's Globe and Mail Carrie Tate, who's had scoop after scoop on stuff in Alberta, I think worth shouting out to Carrie Tate. But do you think her latest tonight about the lodging, about the housing, is that going to be different than any of the recent scoops that she's had?
I think so. I think it's easy to understand. Unfortunately, it's happened, or fortunately for the Danielle Smith government, it's to a chief of staff who's no longer with the government. So if the chief of staff was still in the office, there'd be calls for resignation. There'd be calls for him being fired. But because he's already left, it's difficult to put, a real political value on this. I do think that it's going to make it harder because there's no fucking way that Danielle Smith didn't know what her chief of staff's living arrangements were. It's just impossible to imagine.
Why is that? Because you've been in that role and you're just so intertwined that
you're practically living together.
Yeah,
you're constantly working together, taking telephone calls, doing video conferences from home. These things are all happening all at once, and it's not like she's going to not notice where her chief of staff is living.
So if she says, if when asked the next time she faces media, she says, "Oh, I didn't know," you're saying that's
that'd be a
bullshit.
blatant lie. That would be a blatant lie. One that would be relatively easy to disprove, I would suspect. I would suspect more than one time, Marshall was in the car when he got dropped off at his house. So at that point, the premier would go, "Wow, that's a nice house. What are you doing in that house?" Right? Plus, chances are if there was a rental agreement, the province would be paying for it.
So, okay. So you think it's going to be different this time? You think
I
that
do. I think this is going to be
resonate?
big. I think this was big. I think, even Corey put it in the text and was like, "Oh, this is big. This is big." And I was like, "Corey, stop teasing me. Stop teasing me. If you're going to take political stances, get on the fucking podcast." This is big. So, just a tease out there for everybody that Corey is still following the news and could still be on this podcast if he fucking wanted to.
That's a good tease. Hopefully if he's listening right now, what's your message to him, Carter?
There's a new show we did the Klingbeil and Carter first time. There's a new show, Ministry of Podcasts, that we are looking to do with Corey Hogan.
People want Corey back. It's been 2 weeks and they miss him already.
The audience does,
Yeah.
Although he's
They
in the
want him back.
Discord more than ever right now.
He is. That's a plug for people to give the, what is it, $6 a month? Join the
$6 a month to
Discord.
be on Patreon, and then you get the Discord.
You
People
get
on
to talk to
Discord say
Carter.
they don't
Yeah.
they don't even pay for the podcast anymore. They're paying for the
For
Discord.
the community. This is what
Yeah.
group chats are all about right now.
Yeah,
Carter.
it's
community.
crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Okay, so you think it's going to be different. At the same time,
Do you think it's going to be different?
No,
Oh,
I don't.
my God.
no, I don't.
Scandal.
I don't think so, because there's been so many pieces and so many things, and it's just not resonating. And I think the media market in Alberta is horrendous right now. And it's like scoop after scoop from Carrie Tate, but it's not getting the follow that it would have 15 years ago. Think about 10 years ago. Think about when you were dealing with Redford.
Oh, my God.
It wasn't just one headline in a national newspaper. It was
You just listed off 15 headlines.
yeah, but there's so much information, and it's not so the scoop that the Globe has, the Herald and the CBC and CTV and the others don't, and maybe they follow it because some of the stuff they've been following, but it's a totally different media market than it was a decade ago when you were with Redford. How long ago was that? 15 years ago?
Yeah, it's coming up on, it's 14 right now. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Do you not think about how many reporters were covering the ledge 15 years ago?
Well, and even then we were down, right? Even then we were down the number of reporters that we would have seen. But yeah, I think we had a good 12 or 14 that were covering the ledge.
Which is insane. It's nuts. And you had when I started at the Herald in 2008 and then left for the final time in 2018. I was there on and off.
Yeah.
Kind of internship when I was in school.
Couldn't keep a job.
Then,
that's what I heard.
and
Yeah.
then when I finally left. But even then, in that decade, how much it just shrunk and shrunk and shrunk. The Herald doesn't even have a ledge reporter now, right? They have one in Edmonton and CP. So I just think that you don't have the bodies. We in our media training, we show the who is the health minister who was eating the cookie? Stephen Duckett, was that his name?
Yeah, he was the Deputy Minister of Health.
Right.
Or
And so he was
the
health
head of
minister,
AHS.
was he not?
Yeah.
Yeah, head of AHS. Sorry, not
Yeah.
minister, head of AHS. But his media scrumming him and he's going, "I'm eating a cookie, I'm eating a cookie, I'm eating a cookie." There's lots of media following him. That wouldn't happen nowadays. He wouldn't have that many people, and they wouldn't have the capacity to wait for him for his meeting to finish to follow him to the next building. It's just wildly different.
So is that the age of scandal is over? You can get away with murder?
Well, I'm asking you.
No, I'm asking you because I already answered. I think this is big. What I'm asking you is the age of scandal over in your mind?
I think the age of scandal has changed. You see it in Ontario too with a lot of the Doug Ford stuff. Just things that I think if you had the same level of scandal and the same media that you did 10, 15 years ago, it would be night and day difference.
Well, It's no question it would be night and day different.
Do you disagree with me?
No, I think that it would be totally different. But I just want, it is just, I just don't believe that the age of scandal is over.
I don't think it's over. I think it's changed.
Well, we're going to find out, aren't we?
Don't put words in my mouth, Stephen Carter.
But I just did.
Yeah. Okay. Separation. Well, all this is going on. We're also talking about gathering signatures so that Alberta can separate. The separation stuff, granted, in this like media market that is small, the separation stuff is getting a lot of oxygen. Has that surprised you? Like, people are making the point that separation has always been this fringe in the back of people's minds thing in Alberta, but it's out in the mainstream right now. Is
it though? Is it because when I talk to regular human beings, no one wants to actually do it, right?
No one wants to do it, but people are talking about it.
Yeah, they're absolutely talking about it. They're talking about it as though these fucking crazy fuckers aren't going to let this happen, are they?
So,
and this is actually another giant problem for Danielle Smith, but this one's all self-imposed. She has created this problem because she thinks it's an opportunity to win something over from Mark Carney.
Do you think she thinks it's an opportunity, or do you think she's trying to keep her party from separating?
Well, I mean, I saw the Republican Party of Alberta has listed, I think, 18 of the MLAs that are serving the UCP that are pro-separation. I don't know where they got that information. I hope that someone follows up and asks these 18 MLAs if they are actually pro-separation or if words have been put in their mouth by a party that barely even exists. And I don't know who's behind it. But this Republican Party of Alberta is, we've had the Western Canada Concept Party. We've had these talks of Alberta separation before. I think we elected one person in 1982, is my recollection, who proposed that separation actually be followed. I don't think that when we've brought in 1.5 million people from Eastern Canada, we're going to actually see that number go up in the coming days. I think that it's gotten a lot of attention, but I think it's got a lot of attention in a negative sense of, can you believe how fucking stupid these people are?
You did say, what, a week ago? When did we record last? A while ago, that you were quite worried about this. Are you still worried?
Still very worried. I'm worried about the economy. I'm worried about the negative consequences long term. I'm told that there are conventions that are trying to book space in Calgary that are saying, no, we're not going to do it because we're not sure you're going to be part of Canada in 4 or 5 years. Because that's how long the window is for conventions, right? I don't believe that we're going to separate, but I do believe that we're going to have economic consequences and other political consequences that could reverberate for decades from even just entertaining the construct.
So what strategy-wise, what needs to happen? You think someone within the UCP needs to like grow a backbone and stand up and speak out against it, or like what needs to happen?
Yeah, I mean, so what are there, 40 some odd MLAs in the UCP caucus?
Like
40. It fluctuates depending on who's being kicked in and who's kicked out or who's not. I think that those that aren't in the 18 that want to separate need to say, I'm pro Canada. I'm staying in Canada. This is going to be a referendum question, and if it comes down to it, I'm going to campaign for Alberta to stay as part of Canada. I want to see cabinet ministers do that. I want to see backbenchers do that. I want to see people who are affiliated with these governments, who the political operatives who have worked with them. I want them to say that they want Alberta to stay as part of Canada. Because right now, Danielle Smith is owning the microphone. And you know who else I want to say Alberta should stay a part of Canada? Every single fucking person who sees Danielle Smith at an event this year at Stampede needs to walk up to her and say, what the fuck are you doing with separation?
So, but who's doing that right now? Jason Kenney's doing it. But
Jason
is anyone
Kenney's
else doing it?
I'm going to do it. You're going to do it, right? You're not afraid. You're going to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
You're going to.
Yeah, But in terms of like in these conservative circles, who other? I mean, they don't
Monty
like Jason Kenney.
Solberg's talking about putting together a no committee. Thomas Lukasik put forward a question to be considered for referendum that Alberta should stay a part of Canada. I think that there's a lot of people, past and present, in conservative circles that are not going to let this stand.
So the Alberta, what's it called? Alberta Prosperity Project is what it's called. So they, like this as an example, released their referendum question. They're looking for support from 600,000 Albertans before they go ahead with the citizen initiative petition. The wording of the question is, do you agree that the province shall become a sovereign country and cease to be a province of Canada? That got like mainstream coverage.
It's a mainstream question. It's a mainstream question. Anytime Quebec has threatened to separate and taken it to referendum and it almost has passed. This is I don't think it's going to pass, but I think that the separation threat is just as real from these people. It's not like these people are political pawns. They are in some cases, useful idiots for Danielle Smith, but they're not inconsequential in the overall scheme of things.
But they also show up. Like there was they had one of their, whatever they want to call it, meeting conference, whatever, in Calgary on a Monday night, 1,000 people in that room. Like, you've done events, you do political events. How hard is it to get 1,000 people in a room in Calgary on a Monday night?
It's pretty hard, and it really depends on who the audience is. And if the audience is, it depends about your give a fuck factor. Let's be honest. There is a large group of people who have a significant give a fuck factor who want to see Alberta torn apart. And they think that they're saving us. They're actually destroying us.
What do you think of there's talk of, with the 3 upcoming by-elections and the fact that there's a by-election in, what's it called? Old Didsbury, Three Hills, whatever the order of that is.
Yeah.
Where the speaker's seat was, by-election there. And that is the one place in all of Alberta that has had someone from a separatist party representing them before. It was like in 1982 or something. Do you think in these by-elections that are coming up, provincial by-elections, we're going to start to see organization and a push from the separatist movement?
If Danielle Smith has a brain in her head, she will call that by-election at the exact same time as she calls Ellerslie and Strathcona and Edmonton. All 3 of those by-elections need to be called as soon as humanly possible, ideally in the next 7 days, because you do not want to give additional time for the separatists to organize, because they could win Three Hills, Old Didsbury.
Talk to me about that. So you do think that's possible that they can win?
I do. I think that in a by-election, we're going to have lower turnout anyways. I think that is the capital of separation in Alberta. It's rural. My father's from there, so I have connection to it. I think that it very easily could go separatist with only 10,000-15,000 people voting. That to me seems entirely probable. I'm not sure how many people voted in Old Three Hills, Didsbury in the last election, but I'm going to bet that it was below what we would have seen in any Calgary riding.
Are you looking it up right now?
I'm looking it up right now.
I think it's going. That's going to take you minutes, not seconds, minutes.
Yeah, 24,000 people.
In the last by-election.
In the last election.
Oh, last election.
In the by-election, one could anticipate that being somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 or 14.
So you think possible?
Well, if you're running a strong NDP candidate, if you're running a UCP candidate, and you're running a Republican candidate, the threshold for victory could be 35%. 35% of 14,000 voters is only 4,800 voters or something like that.
Making me nervous, Carter. So what strategy wise, you're the NDP. Let's say the by-elections are going to be called, and they have to call Edmonton Strathcona quite soon, do they not?
Yeah, they do, and I think it's by the end of May that they have to do it. And I think that Nathan Cooper officially resigns his seat this week.
So if you're the NDP, what is your strategy going into these by-elections?
run the best possible candidates that I can in Edmonton Ellerslie and Edmonton Strathcona. One would be, of course, Naheed Nenshi, and the other one would be whoever the other candidate is. I think that they've named a candidate. You just can't remember who it is. Those two candidates need to run and win. But I wouldn't even necessarily run the strongest campaign I could in Old Three Hills, Didsbury. I would kind of fall back and allow the UCP to dominate.
And just focus on the other two.
Yeah. You're not going to win Old Three Hills, Didsbury. Even if 35% is all you need. The NDP got exactly 18% in the last election. 4,500 votes. You need every single person to come back out and vote for you again.
In a by-election.
If you think you're going to win the by-election.
What about speaking of by-elections, what about the federal one in Battle River, Crowfoot, where Pierre Poilievre is running? Do you think that the fact that he's running in an Alberta riding, the separation talk is going to become even more of a national issue than it already is? In terms of, it feels like the national headlines on it are kind of like, look at kooky Alberta.
Well, I mean, not only that, there's an overlap, right? There's an overlap in some of the spaces of the ridings.
The two girls, yeah.
Yeah, so, there's not a huge overlap. It's not like they are the same riding by any stretch of the imagination, but there is some overlap. And I would think that this is an opportunity for Pierre Poilievre to fight for Canada, stand for Canada. If he wants to say that there are some legitimate grievances, that's fine. But the way to solve it is not to threaten to leave. That's the way he should be tackling it.
Do you think he will?
I don't know. I'm not even sure that we're going to see him in Battle River. I don't think that he needs to show up. So if you don't need to show up, what's the point? He's going to win that one by a gajillion points. It's going to be fairly significant, I think.
So what are I know you love to do predictions. What are your predictions of what happens with this, what happens with what's going on in Alberta in the coming months? We're going into summer and then we're going to municipal elections. What's, I think people's capacity for caring in summer drops. As we all know, like, what's your predictions of what the next few months look like?
If the premier's smart, she'll hold this by-elections before the end of June. So by June, let's say
end of June.
Yeah, June let me pick a day here.
Oh, you're really predicting.
I'm gonna pick a day that she's gonna have the elections. It's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4. It's gonna be June the 2nd. No, that can't be right.
No,
I miscalculated. I did that wrong. I counted incorrectly. 1, 2, 3, 4. June the 16th.
June the 16th. Okay.
Yeah, the day after Father's Day, by-election in all three ridings.
Okay, and then what's your next prediction? You're really getting detailed here, very specific.
My next, I think that Ellerslie and Strathcona will go to the NDP. I think that there's a better than zero chance that the separatists win in Old Didsbury Three Hills. And then I think that everybody loses their shit. And the most, anybody associated with Danielle Smith is going to have a really hard time getting elected.
You think? So
she's the one who invited them in, and they're going to take the opportunity to sign petitions. I think that the referendum petitions will be signed, sealed, and delivered before the end of 2025.
And then you're on a roll, Carter. Keep predicting.
That's all I got. That's all I got.
Keep
you want the municipal election predictions?
Are we seeing? I know you want to.
It's gonna be a big night for Stephen Carter. I'll tell you that. Stephen Carter's gonna be standing up and going, "Oh yeah, baby."
I know you want to. What's your track record on predictions?
I do pretty
poorly,
good. As long as I don't predict federal elections in the United States.
Very poorly.
I do very well. There's a misunderstanding about my predictions. Right.
What is it? Clear the record right now. Corey's not here to interrupt you.
Every fucking time I make a prediction, some asshole drops in the recording of me making the Jeb Bush prediction. And that
She's
prediction,
going to do again.
Jeb Bush needs to survive this primary and compete in a general.
Jeb Bush is not surviving this primary.
He's totally surviving this primary. Mark it down on your calendar, okay? Stephen Carter said
So
today,
hold on.
Jeb Bush is the guy. Yeah, that prediction turned out to be false. That was incorrect.
But all your other ones.
All
are
my other
close.
predictions. I've never heard a negative prediction except for that one ever played after my predictions.
You're wild. Okay, so you think separation party wins, and then things are going to get nasty. Do you think snap election? Lots of people are talking about like a soon election.
I think that they're looking at that in the fall of 2026 instead of the fall of 2027.
Okay.
I don't think a snap election. I mean, keep in mind that with the munis happening in October of 2025, there's not a lot of land left to actually host and have an election. So 2026 makes the most sense to me, spring or fall.
So you mentioned Stampede Circuit earlier and telling people they should go up to Daniel Smith. Do you have any other kind of advice or strategy for what is like a very important time in Calgary for networking and for politics?
Well, I think that there's a case to be made for launching another referendum that is not related to the separation question. I think that there's a really strong case for that.
Like what type of question?
I don't know. Let's say
like just an issue that gets people out.
Yeah, reinvestment in healthcare or something along those lines. And you try and get your 180,000 signatures on that. It has to be something big though. So I don't know if anything's big enough except for separation to get the signatures.
And what's your thinking behind why you just want to
Because then you're going to have to get both groups of people out.
Yeah.
And you really have to instill a sense of purpose for them. Plus, you could fuck the government, and fucking your buddy's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So Stampede, do you want people to be talking?
I want people in Stampede to walk
question?
right up to the premier and say, "What the hell are you doing?
Okay.
All right, why are you playing with this fire?" I was thinking of because last year we did a big set of rounds with Brian Thiessen, and I did a million Stampede events.
A million.
And at every one of them, I think I saw Danielle Smith, except the NDP breakfast. But the truth of the matter is that no one confronted her. No one asked her the hard question. I think that some people need to stand up to her and say, "What are you doing with separation? What are you doing?"
Okay.
And if you're going to let her into your event, then you've got to at least ask the question.
At what point do you think we get to that point though where, I mean, she's a premier. Like, at what point do you get to where your chambers of commerce or your people who have these big breakfasts and stuff are like, no, we don't. We don't want her here.
I don't think that she's going to be persona non grata. I think that's a step too far. But I do think that the people will stand up to her. I mean, you'll stand up to her, right? You'll go up to her and say, "What the hell are you doing?"
Yeah, you will too, right?
When
you see her at those 1 million events that you.
I will for sure, but everybody expects it of me.
Yeah.
Well, they expect it of you.
Yeah.
You don't sound that enthused. You don't.
Well,
sound
I don't.
enthused.
To be honest, I don't go to a lot of Stampede events, Carter. I get invited to them, and I try not to go.
Well, traditionally my the second weekend is my weekend off of. We go bike riding, but
traditionally, but not this year because you've got some municipal things to. Your fingers are in.
I might be there the whole time.
Yeah,
that's a long run.
In your cowboy hat for 14 days. I used to when I was a journalist. We could not book off time during Stampede. It was like you had to be there, and then when I was in government, obviously had to be there. And now that I don't have those jobs, I can do things like go camping during Stampede, and it's wonderful.
It is wonderful to go camping. This is a great little start and bookending on talking about the outdoors.
Yeah,
pretty good. It's really well done, Annalise. You crushed it. Yeah,
totally did that on purpose because we're already at 43 minutes. We said we were going to do a tight 45.
Yeah, we did.
So do you have? We're not going to do a lightning round because this isn't the Strategists. This is the what do we call it? Carter and Annalise show.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to put on the table before we call it the end?
I liked calling it the Annalise and Carter Show, but you've really, renamed it, and I appreciate that.
Carter and Annalise Show. First time ever.
It was pretty good, I think. I think it was great, actually.
Perfect.
I think it was great.
That's a wrap.
To
We're
hell
going to
with
end
Zane.
it there.
Oh, you're okay.
Oh, are we still going?
How do we end it?
It's our first episode. I did the intro. You do the outro.
Thanks for joining us on the Annalise and Carter Show. Tune in next week to see if Zane Velji returns.